Chapter 2. We continue with this 14-part course, Think and Talk to Grow Rich. Mind power. You can't lose with the stuff I use, and the stuff I use is mind power. Rev-like. In the preceding chapter, we just began to scratch the surface of the all-important non-thinking process. By now, it is apparent that it is of essence to stop the internal dialogue to enable the Eureka's I from the subconscious mind to be heard. There are other types of non-thinking processes we must indulge in, but initially we must clear the path. It is a frightening fact that of the 4 billion people who inhabit this planet, only a very small minority have their lives under control, are doing exactly what they want to be doing, and as a result are happy and content. This is borne out by observing men and women everywhere. You can see the worried brow, the frown of discontent. You can feel the anxiety and tension, you can hear the constant bitching and moaning. Furthermore, all we have to do is look toward the doctor's offices, see them overflowing with patients suffering from psychosomatic illnesses, watch the number of prescriptions written out and the volumes of proprietary drugs and medicine sold over the counter. This tragic picture is glazed over with the millions of lost souls searching for highs in drugs, alcohol and depravity, hopefully to ease the burden of an already overloaded mind. The trouble with these people is that not only do they not try to stop the incessant chatter that goes on within their skulls, but, for the most part, do not even realize that the internal dialogue is with them all of the time. Of all the hundreds of thousands of thoughts that go through their minds every day, the thoughts that never dawn upon them are: what is this incessant chatter within my skull? What is it for? How can I stop it? Furthermore, they live from day to day following the conscious mind, which is strictly the sleep when tired, eat when hungrier mind. Combine the foregoing with a desire for sex, which happens to be an extremely powerful driving force, and in many ways can be likened to that of the desire for food. Just because you had a hearty and scrumptious meal on Monday doesn't mean you are not going to be hungry on Tuesday, and you have stumbled on the exact formula for how the majority of people run their lives. Occasionally someone tries to crawl out of the rut. Only recently have we seen the ranks of mediators beginning to swell, but unfortunately, the majority of them stop practicing after a very short time. The practice of meditation originated in the East, and it was primarily a device to enable one to attain spiritual fulfillment. When the materialistic Westerner adopts the practice, it hardly ever comes up to his expectations, usually because he is lacking direction, assuming of course he is really meditating both properly and regularly. The Westerner interested in material gains must be shown how to utilize the 85% of the potential mind power that heretofore has been untapped. In tapping the 85% of unused potential, we soon realize we are using parts of the mind that have previously been dormant, and one realizes that there are many states, levels, or zones of consciousness. We realize that it is a stupendous part of the mind we haven't used. It is generally recognized states of consciousness can be induced, drugs and artificial stimulants, but states can be achieved by meditation and correct definite agreement states of consciousness. I wouldn't take William Hazlitt to task just because he wrote the definition of genius is that it acts unconsciously, and those who have produced immortal works have done so without knowing how or why. But what I will say is that although genius does act unconsciously, or rather subconsciously, we definitely do, and beyond a shadow of a doubt we do know. Basically, for our intents and purposes making money and achieving success, we must deal with the mind on 3 levels. The subconscious mind, which is the largest mind, is analytical, since it creates, computes, plots, plans, and never makes a mistake. It is the mind we seldom use. Because of all noise within our minds and around us, we never hear it. Next, we have the unconscious mind, which has stored in it all the knowledge of everything we have done, everything we have experienced from the moment of birth. Any inhibitions or fears originate deep down in this mind, and though we don't realize it, because it is so deep down, it affects our daily lives, albeit unconsciously. Then we have the conscious mind, the mind you are using now to comprehend and assess what you are reading. You also use it for writing, talking, learning, and everyday observation. It is but an act. It is strictly the eat when hungry, sleep when tired mind. Let us look individually at each of the three minds to see exactly how we can use them in a way that will be tapping the huge reservoir of potential so few of us use, but that so many of us talk about. The subconscious mind. When computer programmers say "Gigo," they simply mean that if you program the computer with garbage, all you will get out of the computer is garbage, hence, Gigo, garbage in, garbage out. In many ways, the subconscious mind can be likened to a computer, $1 million computer, no less. The subconscious mind knows and recognizes your predominant desire, picks up facts, assimilates them, and organizes them into an infallible plan to enable you to attain whatever the predominant desire happens to be. When it has completed its computerized labor, it brings the idea into the conscious mind in the form of a Eureka. Should you be feeding into your subconscious mind feelings of negation, fear, poverty, disease, and destitution, the subconscious mind will loyally carry out plans for the attainment of such. On the other hand, should you feed in visions of success, wealth, fame, and fortune, the subconscious mind will create the necessary plans for the attainment of same. It gives you exactly what you ask for. This is exactly what Emerson had in mind when he wrote, "Be careful what you set your heart on, for it surely will be yours." Programming the mind to enable us to attain our worldly desires is done through the practice of visualization. This is the practice of seeing your desires in your mind's eye every night before retiring and every morning when you rise. If you desire a pink Cadillac, visualize it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the cold air on your face from the air conditioning. Feel the power as you accelerate. See the tinted glass and the honey-combed magnesium wheels. Switch on the stereo, get in and out of the car, feel it, believe you own it. The language of the subconscious mind is the repetition of mental images. Napoleon Bonaparte was an avid practitioner. He used to see himself as the general of armies and the master of France. He used to go on maneuvers and practice strategy. He practiced soldiering, all in his mind's eye, before he ever saw a battlefield. The subconscious mind always provides plans for the attainment of your predominant desire or desires. It never fails. If it be $1 million you desire, see the money clearly in your mind's eye. See the bank statement with your name on it, run your fingers through the money, believe it is yours. Do this every night and every morning. Do not think of how you will accomplish such a feat. That is not your business. That is the job of the subconscious mind. It needs no help from you, no thinking about how you will attain your desires. However, the subconscious mind does require the repetition of mental images and periods of SSS. The renowned psychologist, William Moulton Marston, used to get people to rehearse in their mind's eye. If someone came to him wanting advice on his or her career, he used to get them to visualize themselves in the position they required. Rehearse the future as it is desired, he told them. It is imperative that you see your desires clearly in your mind's eye, be they material or intangible goals. Reading your desires, parrot fashion, from a list will bring no results whatsoever, and it is essential that you visualize every night and every morning. It is of no use at all to practice only when you feel like it. It is of the essence that you believe your goals have already materialized, and it is similarly important that you do not think of how you will achieve such ambitions. As Paracelsus, the great physician, said, "Those who make room for impressions receive them." If you want to become an actor, film star, or politician, see yourself in your mind's eye already doing these things. Visualize whatever it is you desire to be or long to possess. Supercharge the atmosphere with these thoughts, emotions, and images, and the belief that you are, you do, you own. When the great pianist Arthur Schnabel was asked how anybody could be such a brilliant pianist with so little practice, he replied, "I practice in my head." In a similar vein, an Olympic gold medalist was lounging in his hammock when his coach appeared. The athlete, who was a pole vault champion, asked the coach to move the bar up to the next peg. The coach was puzzled because he knew the athlete had not jumped the earlier setting. When asked, this athlete, too, replied that he was practicing in his head. Through the practice of visualization, the mind cannot fail to come up with illuminating plans for you to achieve, attain, and build. How does it do this? Ralph Waldo Emerson knew the answer. Each mind has its own method. The subconscious mind works on your predominant desire. It will go about its business picking up facts for its computer, although you will be totally unaware of it doing so. I want to give you a simple illustration of how the subconscious mind works. You see, the more you can understand how it works, the easier it is for you to see exactly what you are trying to achieve. The first example is about a young woman who wanted a piano. She desperately wanted a piano, and although she could not afford one, she believed that before long she would own one. It was her predominant desire. She believed in the thought and cherished it. Every day when she did the dusting, she would dust the imaginary piano. She knew within her heart of hearts that before long she should possess one of her very own. While quietly meditating one day, she had a certain feeling come over her. She did not know why, but she did know it was her subconscious prompting her to go to the local village green. When the young woman arrived, there was to her amazement a fair in full swing, flashing lights, organ music, cotton candy, taffy apples, and amusements. What caught her eye next was something truly amazing, a piano smashing stall where you could pay a few pennies to try your hand at smashing a piano with a large hammer. The young woman hurried on to the stand, and, with a smile in her voice, said to the boy running the stall, "What a pity to break up such lovely pianos, when here I am longing for one, but can't afford it." Equally pleasantly the young boy replied, "Lady, if you want a piano, just say the word, I'll even have it delivered, with my compliments." That is how the young lady came to be in possession of her piano. Now on the psychological side, we should examine how the subconscious mind worked this little trick. Without the young lady realizing it, the subconscious mind probably saw an advertisement for the fair in the newspaper. It could have been a poster on a wall somewhere, or it could have remembered that at this time every year there was a fair on the village green and that one of the stalls was piano smashing. One point I make quite clear is that visualization and meditation are based on psychological laws, not magic. Providing you meditate and practice visualization, the subconscious mind is bound by psychological law to provide a plan for the attainment of your desires. The next illustration is equally simple and concerns a young engineering enthusiast who rebuilds vintage motorcycles as a hobby. He not only rebuilds them, but he makes absolutely sure they are completely authentic, original, and conquers de-elegance. However, a particular motorcycle, an Indian, I think he called it, was short of one item, the carburetor. All he needed was a carburetor and his lovely project would be finished. He never gave up hope. He believed that somehow he would get hold of the part. He saw the motorcycle in his mind's eye. It was running like a sewing machine. It had a carburetor on it. He believed with all his heart that somehow a carburetor would come into his possession. One day, While not thinking of anything in particular, he had a notion that he must go down to the local wrecker's yard. On his arrival, and to his disappointment, he found the wrecker's yard closed for the day. As he was looking curiously through a crack in the fence, the voice of an old man startled him. "Can I help you, son?" said the old-timer. The boy jumped with shock and then told the old man the story of the missing carburetor. For some reason or other, the old-timer was particularly amused. "Come with me, boy," he beckoned. The youth followed him into an old derelict shed where the old man rummaged around and eventually found the exact carburetor the boy was looking for. Now, when I say exact, I mean exact, for it was the actual carburetor that was missing from the young man's Indian. It transpired that a few years previously the old-timer had sold the motorcycle but had misplaced the carburetor, and the new owner had lost interest in the project and sold the motorcycle to the young man in our story. Back to the scientific, or if you like, the psychological explanation. The subconscious mind may have remembered the old-timer, who lived next to the wrecker's yard, originally advertising the Indian for sale. We can't be sure really, but this is what the subconscious mind does if you give it half a chance. It serves little or no purpose to expand the facts or the example. This is the point I am trying to make. The subconscious mind is creative. To create, you must have something to build with. It will automatically pick up facts and information without you knowing or thinking. It will create plans for you that you would never have thought of consciously in a million years. Do not misunderstand what is being said. When you visualize your desire, you will be shown how to attain the desire or its equivalent. The boy who got the carburetor might not necessarily have obtained the original item, but he would have obtained its equivalent, which would have been quite sufficient and acceptable. This example was used particularly to show you that the subconscious mind works with the material at hand. If you eat, drink, talk and visualize poverty, your subconscious mind will build and create plans for you on this level. The language of the subconscious mind is repetition of mental images. Whatever it is that you see for yourself in the mind's eye, the subconscious mind will create a plan for its attainment. By feeding our subconscious mind mental images of the things we desire, we give it the material it needs to use as a basis for its creativity. The foregoing examples are true accounts of how the subconscious mind works. There is nothing extraordinary about nothing spooky about the way it works. In fact, anyone who visualizes a predominant desire and gets periods of SSS will be shown how to attain through the use of his or her subconscious mind. The powers of your subconscious mind are limitless. Although the foregoing is only an introduction to the subconscious mind, you are already beginning to see the potential and how it works while not thinking. Another aspect of the subconscious mind is that of problem solving. One of the best things you can do is to accept the fact that everybody has problems. A famous sage once said, "You can have anything you like in this life, I repeat anything, providing it is not a life free of problems." The secret of success is to accept that we all have problems, but to acknowledge the fact that people who remain happy and unperturbed by them know how to sort them out. How is it that some people have the knack or the ability to sort out problems with relative ease and with relatively less pain than others? The answer lies in the subconscious mind. The answer also lies in not thinking. The subconscious mind will solve all problems for you with solutions so accurate and revealing you will wonder how you lived without using it. The answer is simple: you didn't live, you merely existed. With the aid of the subconscious mind, you can now live as you have never lived before. Solutions and ideas come out of the blue. Problems will vanish as if by magic. The only catch is you must use the subconscious mind in your problem-solving efforts. The way to use the subconscious mind is simple. Write the problem down, no matter what it is. Define it, i.e., whether it is personal, mental, emotional, or financial. Get the problem down on paper as accurately as you can. You then write down all the possible solutions, no matter how utterly mad or seemingly impossible they may look. Write down as many possible solutions as you can to each specific problem. Now examine each possible solution, and as you examine the possibility of each solution, one of two things will happen. The first possibility is that you will find a solution to your problem. In that case, fine. You need not enlist the subconscious mind to your aid. If, however, you still have no solution to your problem, all you do is hand it over to the subconscious mind. You do this by saying, not aloud but within yourself, subconscious mind, I hereby hand over the problem of whatever the problem may be, for you to solve. Give the subconscious mind a specific time limit in which to solve your problem. Make this time limit as long as possible, a week or a month if the problem is a big one. The subconscious mind will solve the problem in a matter of hours if it has to, but generally speaking, the longer you give it, the better. The secret of the success comes in the not thinking. Once you have handed it over to the subconscious mind, do not think about it. Forget it. The subconscious mind is more than capable of solving problems on its own. It needs no meddling from you. Within the time limit, the subconscious mind will come up with a solution to your problem. It will feel right. You will know it is right when it comes. Put the solution into operation immediately. The subconscious mind does not help solving problems unless the solutions it presents are used. If you don't use the solution supplied by the subconscious mind, it will be some time before it will function properly again. So, to recap, here is what you do. 1. Write down the problem and define it. 2. Write down all possible solutions, even seemingly mad or impossible ones. 3. As you go through the list, eliminate those which you decide will not solve your problem. 4. Hand the problem over to the subconscious mind with a specific time limit, as long as is possible. 5. Do not think about it once you have handed it over to the subconscious mind. 6. When the solution comes, use it. Many times you have used the subconscious mind without realizing it. The obvious example brings us back to the word or name that was on the tip of your tongue, but which you could not remember. However, sometime later, while not thinking, the answer came to you out of the blue. We have just discussed two very important aspects of the subconscious mind. In the subsequent chapters, we will not only go deeper into visualizing, but also into many aspects of the subconscious mind. It is important that you never lose sight of the fact that the subconscious mind is in charge and its size accounts for 8/9 of the mind. The unconscious mind. Deep down in the unconscious mind lies all the reasons behind any inhibitions, hang-ups, or fears that one may have. The secret of success is to draw these inhibitions, or rather the cause of the inhibitions, to the surface into the conscious mind. Today in America, this is a billion-dollar industry. We call it psychoanalysis, and it often enlists the aid of drugs or hypnosis. But what psychologists have been practicing for a few decades, it has already been practiced for thousands of years. In the golden age of Greece, at the time of the great philosophers, the words nothai soton were inscribed L large letters over the entrance to the Athenian temple. Translated, this means know thyself, which was considered then to be absolutely essential to all knowledge by the wise men of the time. In Tibet and India, the mystics would not contemplate swallowing poison or passing skewers through their cheeks without self-knowledge. Psychologists have found the strongest possible evidence that inhibitions are formed in early childhood, beginning with toilet training. Should a child be chastised instead of gently encouraged to use toilet facilities properly, trouble begins. As the child grows older, if he is not encouraged in small things, he will never entertain ideas of anything on a larger scale. The young boy in the hobby shop who is encouraged by his father to chisel, hammer and saw will become a self-reliant adult, whereas the youngster who is reprimanded and told he is useless and to not get in the way will become a burden on society. He will undoubtedly end up with what we call today an inadequate self-image. Years ago we called it an inferiority complex. In Tibet, where self-knowledge is a necessity for spiritual attainment, a yogi in his meditation will start where he is and retrace in his mind every action he performed that day. Then he will retrace all the actions made the previous day, going further back throughout his life. It has been said that after many years' practice the yogis can remember right back to the moment of birth. In essence, we do the same thing by asking questions and gathering information about our childhood. Friends, relatives, and old photographs all build a picture of our upbringing, so that we may find out if we were repressed during childhood. Obviously, we only need do this if there are hang-ups and inhibitions. By doing unnecessary analysis, you will be creating problems where none exist. It was Jung who coined the phrase, "All self-analysis without confession is futile." You must write down all your fears and inhibitions. The paper will be for your eyes only, and after analysis it can be destroyed. The function of the exercise is to list all your fears and inhibitions, and then analyze childhood experiences to see why the fears and inhibitions exist. Only then will you know thyself. In the words of Harry Emerson Fosdick, to get our fear out in the open and frankly face it is of primary importance. Only when you have dispelled fear from your system will you be a success. No one knew this better than Carlyle, and he put it very succinctly. The first duty of man is that of subduing fear. He must get rid of fear. He cannot act at all till then. His acts are slavish, not true. The second part of the exercise is to lay the ghost of fear to rest. We do this by bringing the fear or inhibition into the forefront of the conscious mind, and then we laugh it out of court by gradually doing the thing we fear. By laughing at it, we overcome our hang-ups, inhibitions, and fears. When an airplane test pilot crashes, the first thing he does is to get back in an airplane as soon as he can. If he didn't do this, he would soon lose his nerve. Likewise, the race car driver, if he has an accident, he must immediately get back in a car and drive as fast as he can. If you are afraid of talking to people or going out on your own, these are the things you must do. Not all at once, but gradually, step by step. By far the most powerful tool you have now is the subconscious mind. If you listen to it, you will be warned of any impending dangers. Anyone who takes time out in SSS need have no fear whatsoever, for he or she will be shown a clear and safe path. The conscious mind. Let us examine the conscious mind and see how we can most benefit from it through the practice of not thinking. You are using the conscious mind now, this very minute, to comprehend what you are reading. You also use it for learning, writing, and watching television. How can we progress quicker? How can we make full use of the conscious mind using the non-thinking processes? The answer is simple. Enthusiasm. Let me give you a graphic example of what I mean. Imagine you are madly keen on auto racing. Without thinking, you gather a pile of good usable knowledge, the types of cars, brake horsepower figures, the types of fuel injection used, compression ratios, drivers' names, mechanics' names, last 5 years winners, lap times, speeds, and so on and so forth. You pick up the knowledge as you go along, through sheer enthusiasm. Consider now a different subject, one that you are not madly keen about. In fact, you hate it. For argument's sake, let us say it is history. You have to try really hard to remember dates, names, facts and happenings. Sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you think, you still cannot remember. You are not enthusiastic. The information you pick up at auto racing is probably far more technical and complicated than many historical facts, but without enthusiasm, it becomes impossible to learn, store, remember, and recall such knowledge. That great essayist, Emerson, observed this fact, and it prompted him to write, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm." You probably haven't felt enthusiastic for years. You know what I mean. With real enthusiasm, nothing is too much trouble. You feel as though you could dance all night, sing in the rain. The tiredness falls away. Life is a labor of love, and that is how it should be. If you are not happy now, wildly enthusiastic about your job, your friends, life, everything, what is it all for? You're a long time dead. I know it is all very well for me to talk, and you would love to be enthusiastic again, if only you knew where to begin. Well, by cultivating your mind in SSS, you will be shown health, happiness, love, fame, and fortune. At the moment, you are doing too many of the wrong things and certainly not enough of the right things. You will never attain peace of mind until you become still. You will never feel enthusiastic until you begin to do the things you feel you ought to be doing. Your life is not under control. You are not having the vacations you want. You are not enjoying the hobbies that you want to spend time at. You are in too much of a hurry all the time. I know, you have got this bill to pay, that problem to sort out, this relationship to end, hopefully another one to begin, that emotion to resolve, this depression to lift. Of course. I know all of your problems. You don't think I have devoted a life of time to studying psychology for nothing. The only reason I have left out some of the problems that beset you is because we would need a book the size of a telephone directory to get them all in. The problem or question of enthusiasm cannot be answered in just a few sentences. It has so many components, which fall into so many categories, that the answers about enthusiasm have been spread throughout the chapters of this book. A few of the components that will bring back long-lost enthusiasm are SSS, knowing what you want out of life, actually achieving those things and doing your own thing. By the time you have finished this book, you will have all the enthusiasm you need. But for the time being, I want you to remember that enthusiasm is necessary for the achievement of any goal. The center of the conscious mind is the ego. Me ego works without thinking, and if we realize that all minds operate like this, not just our own, we can use it to great benefit. If you take a shower, dress right up, put on some gold and diamond rings and some expensive jewelry, you feel refreshed, you feel like a different person. Your ego is boosted even if you only borrowed the regalia. When people meet you dressed this way, they will treat you a different person. They will treat you with respect. On the contrary, if you dress like a tramp, unshaven, exuding body odor, people will treat you like a tramp. For all they know, you could be a millionaire or a genius, but without thinking, their egos accept the idea that you are a tramp or a down-and-out bum, and this applies not only to their egos, but to your own as well. Me ego of the conscious mind accepts whatever is put in front of it without asking questions and without thinking. We can use this psychological knowledge to our advantage. If you want to be a great person, act as though you were a great person. If you want to be a star salesman, act as though you are a star salesman. Whatever you want to be, act as if, and it will be. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "There were all kinds of things I was afraid of at first, but by acting as if I was not afraid, I gradually ceased to be afraid." Most men can have the same experience if they choose. My italics. Without a question of a doubt, you must choose to act as if you are to attain. You can act as if in any circumstances you desire. Over 100 years ago, Goethe wrote, "Whatever you can do, or dream you can do, begin it." Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Act as if you are confident, and nothing will stop you from attaining. The sixth sense. Some years ago, a little schoolboy was asked by his teacher to write an essay on the funniest thing he had ever seen. He wrote just 11 words. "The funniest thing I ever saw was too funny for words." Well, let me tell you, that is exactly how I feel, lost for words, because the sixth sense almost defies description. Let me tell you first what it isn't. It must not be confused with the subconscious mind, and unlike the other parts of the mind, you cannot order the sixth sense to work for you at will. The three minds we have already discussed take and compute knowledge gained by the five senses. Through the sense of hearing, we listen to the spoken word and music as well as all the noises of the world. Through the sense of sight, we are able to appreciate nature and colors you can also perceive through the eyes. Through the sense of smell, we can detect smoke, dinner, and perfume. Our sense of touch tells us what is smooth, rough, hot, or cold. And our sense of taste allows us to enjoy lobster, the Isidore, and champagne. All knowledge gained by these senses allows the three parts of the mind to operate in the ways we have discussed. However, the sixth sense does not operate through these. It requires no previously gathered knowledge. It operates on indirect spiritual and metaphysical perception. One might say that the subconscious mind is $1 million computer, but the sixth sense is your $1 billion computer and lifesaver combined. The sixth sense comes to your aid when you are least expecting it and comes into operation without your thinking about it. So magnificent and rapid are the maneuvers it computes for us that it shortcuts the whole nervous system and the whole thinking system. Any emergency which arouses the emotions and causes the heart to beat more quickly can bring the sixth sense into operation. The sixth sense will come to your aid whether you are driving a car, running your business, or whatever you are doing when you happen to get into an emergency situation. The easiest way to explain the sixth sense is to mention the example of a man who was driving his car extremely fast when suddenly a car pulled out in front of him and smashed a car coming in the opposite direction, leaving cars and debris right in his path. When he was with his associates later in the day, he described his lucky escape. "I didn't have time to think. I just swung the wheel round, braked hard, then accelerated, and I missed both the other cars." A sixth sense, I suppose. You hear this kind of story every day in one form or another. The sixth sense operates in on-the-spot circumstances. It acts instantaneously. The ability to use this omnipotence comes slowly. You must develop it. Within this statement lies the answer to the reason why some people die in automobile accidents and others allow the sixth sense to mysteriously guide them through danger. It would appear that the sixth sense will not work instantaneously for those who sit on the fence and let everyone else do the work, take the blame or shoulder responsibility. It would appear that it comes to your aid when you risk everything, in fact, put your very life on the line. So how do we cultivate this omnipotence? Obviously, in but that is only a start. Another thing we can do is to live more dangerously. Now, I certainly don't mean racing down Main Street at 130 miles an hour in a Corvette Stingray, but I certainly do mean getting a bit more involved in life and taking a few more risks. It is a well-known psychological fact that well-balanced people have danger, fear, excitement, risks, and thrills as part of their diet. Whereas mentally unstable people do nothing, live humdrum existences and mollycoddle themselves. Here lie the sad, bad, and the mad. It is strictly up to the individual, but all you need is a bit of imagination. Here are a few of the things I have done personally to help me develop my sixth sense in order to achieve my personal and financial goals. I bought a motorcycle. There is nothing like having the full blast of fresh air in your face. That motorcycle opened up a whole new life, a tingle for adventure. Of course, I have always had sports cars, and I enjoy driving fast. I went mountaineering, not to the top, but high enough to make my heart beat faster. I bought a small boat. I didn't use it a lot, but when I did, it was great fun. Now, I am not saying I spent a fortune on these gizmos to enhance my life and to enable me to develop my sixth sense, because I didn't, and you need not either. But at any cost you must get a bit of danger and a slice of fear, a portion of excitement into your life. Cultivate the sixth sense like this, and you will think a miracle has happened when it comes to your aid without even split seconds to spare. You never know when the sixth sense may even save your life, never mind get you out of a financial fix or come to your aid when the chips are down. It has done so for me on more than one occasion. 7 Zoom Secrets. 1. Rehearse the future, just as it is desired, in your mind's eye. 2. Clearly see your desires in your mind's eye and believe they have materialized with feeling, belief and emotion. 3. Use your subconscious mind for solving problems by defining them and then writing down as many possible solutions as you can. Then hand the problem over to the subconscious mind and forget it. Let the subconscious complete its computerized labor and hand over to you a Eureka eye when it is ready. You must act on these Eurekas when you receive them. 4. By gradually doing the things you fear, you will overcome fear. Let the subconscious warn you of impending danger. 5. Although you may be bogged down with all sorts of worries and problems, you still must be enthusiastic. Act as though you are enthusiastic, and the acting will turn into reality. Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. 6. Act as if in any circumstance you desire, and it will be. 7. Cultivate the sixth sense by meditating in SSS and also by living a bit more dangerously. Get yourself a motorcycle, take up mountaineering or anything else that will excite you and give you a tingle of adventure.